Fall is all about cozy comforts, and with Hero Bread, you can enjoy all your favorites and still hit your health goals. From breakfast bagels and meal-prepped enchiladas to mouth-watering burgers and cheesy noodles. You won't believe Hero Bread's options have 0 to 5 grams net carbs and are high fiber from the taste and texture. And right now, Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use code FALL25 at checkout. That's FALL25 at HERO.co. All figures are per serving of Hero Bread. Contains 2 to 18 grams of fat per serving. See the product nutrition panels on hero.co for more information.
This is Stephanie Diaz de Leon.
This is Nicholas Garten.
This is Omar Waheed.
And this is Rob Chappell.
And it's 365 Amplified. And I am proud of us. We did that in one take, everybody.
We did do that.
We did do it. We were
first
ready.
try.
I know.
I did almost sniffle through it.
I know. You were trying really hard. You have allergies right now. You didn't take your medicine.
My fault.
Mm-hmm. You apologize to everybody.
We made it through.
But we
I
did
don't
it.
mean it, though.
You're like, this is what you get.
This
is who he is.
You can blame my mom and dad. They gave birth to this.
We gave birth. Well, and then, I don't know. Allergies are up again. I took mine last night. I have to take it. Otherwise, I'll be a sniveling, watery person.
Like I am right now.
And nobody wants that.
It's that time of year.
Yeah.
Before we get going, I want to mention, stay tuned, because a little bit later, we're talking with David Crowley, the county executive of Milwaukee County, who this week, as we all predicted, announced that he's running for governor.
There was no way he wasn't going to run.
Yeah.
I still wanted Tony Shalhoub to come back to Wisconsin to do it, but David Crowley's...
It's a good second for you?
It's a good second.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll appreciate that comparison or not, but Rob can ask later.
Ask him how he feels about Monk or the marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and then we can figure that out.
Yeah.
We could ask him, like, who is his favorite, like, famous person from Wisconsin in general?
I will do that.
Will you?
I'm going to jot that down quick.
The most famous ever person? Like,
or who was his
Wisconsin?
favorite? Yeah, who was his favorite?
Who's your favorite Wisconsin native celebrity?
I don't know very many people from Wisconsin who are famous or came from here that are famous, so I don't think I have one.
Harry Houdini.
Is Harry Houdini from Wisconsin?
Yeah. Bradley Whitford, Jane Kismerick.
They all
Isn't
insist
Henry
upon
Winkler
themselves.
from Wisconsin?
No.
Oh.
He's not.
He just comes to Wisconsin.
He just hangs out? They just have statues of him?
Yeah, because Happy Days was set in Milwaukee.
Right.
It wasn't filmed in Milwaukee. It had no connection to Wisconsin other than it was
but that's what
pretended to be in Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm. Do you know who's from Milwaukee, though?
David Crowley.
Yeah. So, we're going to bring that around. I just think it's weird that we have a statue of somebody who's not from here, y'all.
Right. It's Fonz. It's not Henry Winkler's statue. It's the statue of Fonzie.
Played by Henry Winkler.
I mean, there's a statue of Rocky in
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Oh, this is true. These are choices, y'all.
I was at the unveiling of the bronze Fonz.
I do remember that, and I was like, why are you going?
Why wouldn't you go? The bronze Fonz?
Because there are other things to do
I was
that
working
day.
for the lieutenant governor at the time, and the governor didn't want to go, so he sent us.
Oh, no.
The different choices.
And I've told this story many times, and I don't know if I've told it on this podcast, but Henry Winkler was there. Tom Barrett, the mayor of Milwaukee at the time, was there. Lieutenant governor was there. Many people were there, dignitaries. The only person who put on a white T-shirt and a black leather jacket.
Oh, I know who this was.
Scott Walker.
On brand.
He was
that feels on brand for this
Milwaukee
man.
County executive at the time.
Uh-huh.
And he just looked like such a dork. Like, this is not a costume party, bud.
But way to center yourself in that moment.
Way to commit to the bit. He rolled up on a motorcycle too. Henry Winkler, the Fonz himself, did not.
I'm just going to say he did it better than anyone else showing up there.
I guess.
I mean, he was the only one.
I mean, if you're going to do
just do it all the way. But also, it was just interesting that, like, whether they recognize it or not, way to center yourself in that moment.
Yeah.
Rather than the person or the idea that you were trying to honor. So, on brand.
Anyway, we're talking to the current county executive of Milwaukee County a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
There's national news that we should probably touch on.
Yep.
There was a political assassination on Wednesday. somebody, we don't know who yet. By the time you're hearing this, they might know more. Mm-hmm. But apparently they have video of the assassin shooter going up the stairs, so they might have like some sort of recognition. Software
that they might be using?
Yeah, they said he looked to be college age. I don't know what that means exactly.
College age is so many things now.
Yeah, you could be 35 and look college age.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were in college,
I look college age still.
Yeah.
I was in college in my mid-40s.
As a professor. Rob looks college age.
I was a college student when I was 45.
Yeah.
They have recovered the rifle also.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The president has now said he's going to posthumously give him the Medal of Freedom. Charlie Kirk, we're talking about. Who?
That's a choice.
Yeah. I mean, he was not a politician, but he was a commentator, right, and a leader of a youth movement of young conservatives. Mm-hmm.
I don't say it's a political assassination. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
What would you call it?
A regular killing?
Just a regular murder.
He wasn't an elected official. He's a podcaster. Mm-hmm. If someone shoots us during this, that's not a political assassination.
No, he was. I feel like he was more
It
than
would be if the Proud Boys did it, though.
We're not sure who the person is affiliated with.
Or what their motivation was.
Yeah. There's a lot of assumptions being made in language and rhetoric that's being used. Even the idea that, like, or the suggestion that it's somebody from one side and somebody from another side, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's just a lot of language being used that doesn't necessarily have any evidence to suggest it's one or the other. They just don't know. They have no idea who it is. They're trying to find some things. This person seems like they've had a little bit of a head of... I mean, it of course looks like it was planned. It also looks like this is somebody who knew what they were doing, given the sort of overwhelming ability to make that sort of like do that action in such a way, because he was sitting down under a tent around thousands of people,
200 yards away,
and 200 yards away is what they're estimating. That was somebody who knew what they were doing, right? Mm-hmm. So there are some clues that they do have, but they don't have much evidence of anything else.
No idea of motivation, but the entire.
But everybody is suggesting.
Everybody on the right has assumed that it's the Democrats
or liberals, or whatever language they want to use with regards to that. And everybody on the left is suggesting it could be it could be yourselves that are doing it too. Like, and again, there's assumptions being made here, and again, and there's just not enough concrete evidence to say it's one way or the other. I think what it can be true, we can hold two things as truth, right? For some, anybody getting killed in that way is awful. Nobody deserves that. And this person is somebody who folks enamored and folks just sort of blamed and hated for the rhetoric that he used. At that time when he was speaking, he was talking about trans folks in a rather demeaning way, and about school shootings, right? And so some folks are like sitting in with the irony of that, and that can exist. And you can also feel like this is why folks are asking for gun control. This is why folks are asking for these things, because of the way that harm can happen and for so many different people. I think it's also important to acknowledge that this is somebody, whoever did this was somebody who was mightily aware that he goes out in public and felt above the fray, in that like nothing like I don't think Charlie Kirk ever thought like something like this would happen to him. He thought it would happen to other people, right? Or if something would happen to him, it would be. And
he kind of wanted it to happen to other people.
He justified why it happened to other people. Yeah. I don't know that he wanted it to happen to other people.
I mean, he advocated violence.
He wanted it.
He justified it all the time. Mm-hmm. He justified, well, this has to happen, or this happens because where we believe in the Second Amendment. And so it's okay if it happens because the Second Amendment is more important than anything else.
Right. The school shootings are just an unfortunate side effect of freedom.
Yeah.
Was his
all
point.
Shootings are like, the question was specific about school shootings, but what he was saying was all shootings, any shootings, are a justification for the freedom that allows us to bear arms.
But he also advocated for public executions of certain criminals.
Sure, absolutely. Not certain. Just say black and brown people.
Well,
that's what he was focusing on.
But also,
and like I said, you can
public
hold
stoning of LGBT people.
Absolutely,
definitely discounted the existence of transgender people.
Absolutely, and like I said, he was somebody who was harmed and also did a lot of harm. Mm-hmm. Both things can be true. I don't think there's a need to necessarily dissect how people are reacting to this person, other than to say, like, all things can be true right now as folks are trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah, I don't think it's a real bold statement as a supposedly objective journalist to say murder is generally bad. So I think we'll just lay down that marker. My concern is that there is a lot of rhetoric on the right now, especially over on Twitter, where things have gotten just completely, barn fire. But a lot of rhetoric about exterminating Democrats and Democrats own this and whatever. Most of that is all talk, but
it's a way. So the thing that maybe is cynical about me is like it's also a way for them to get to fundraise. Right? Like they use that rhetoric to fundraise to their base. And the next line, maybe not this week, but next week, they're like, it's going to be like, donate now so that we can create a bill or support us in protecting you from these folks is what they're going to say next. And it is the same. If you pay attention to this and you watch this, like it's the same sort of like playbook that they use. Anytime something like this happens, they martyr that person as if he was above any criticism, period. And then a week later, come help donate and protect our rights. Because now their next thing is like they're gonna try to take your guns away, because of this and blah blah, and this is all purposeful, and like you said, and it'll be interesting to see how quickly they move from thoughts and prayers to donate now. But I imagine it's going to happen soon. I'm
going to be so mad if this is how we get gun control.
We're not, though. What they will use this for is gun control away from certain folks. So LGBTQ plus people and black and brown people. That's who they're going to go after. And, because that's the easiest things for them to do. And they're already trying to do that. They've already said that folks who are trans, who are gay, should not have guns, period. Mm-hmm. That's already been something that's been in discussion this past summer. So they're going to use this as an excuse. And again, a way to be like, donate now to help us stop, not go there. And what'll be interesting is what folks who are for the Second Amendment will align, because just before this incident, before this happened, the NRA had come out against trying to limit LGBTQ folks from not having the right to bear arms. Right. So it'll be interesting to see where this all goes, and
my concern is escalating political violence all around. I know
it's been escalated for a bit.
It has been.
It just hasn't affected their side. That's the thing. Like where was this half-mast protocol for the lawmakers in Minnesota?
Yeah, that's a great point.
And again, I can hold two truths. I don't know. I don't agree that this should have happened to this person, and violence is the answer. And he wasn't an amazing person who supported or even offered empathy. He thought empathy was a new age word, right? I can exist in both places. I can give empathy and also hold people accountable. Accountability is still part of this conversation, this rhetoric. It is not disrespectful to hold people accountable, right? I can emphasize and show empathy for his family and the trauma that folks are feeling with regards to what they themselves might have experienced at that shooting. And the families of those people who were there, because we went, as a family, like my family went through something like that with regards to what our kids went through. I can hope empathy for that, absolutely. And still hold people accountable. I can do both. I know how to multitask, right? And not wage into and recognize when folks are using this moment to do more for themselves than for anything else. Yeah,
and I think it's a good moment to try to simmer down, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Simmer down from whom, though? We don't know who we're simmering down from, and who is everybody? Who's everybody, though? I'm not going to tell people not to continue to do right for the right, and tell people to take a week off. Accountability doesn't require us to simmer down.
Well,
so who are we telling to simmer down?
Anybody who's actually going to try to do violence.
Oh, sure, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
I think violence. Anybody who is looking to do violence has already been ready to do violence, right? That's not. It's not this incident. It's the ands. That's another excuse for me to do that.
Well, there's a threshold concept in sociology of the threshold, which is everybody has a certain point at which they'll do something, riot or do violence or commit a crime. And I feel like this will bump some people closer to that threshold.
I think if you already see people as less than, you're already at that threshold. If you've already made them into this caricature of the worst example of what you think can exist, you are already at that threshold. And that's why it's easy for you to commit violence against folks.
Yeah.
Right? When you dehumanize people, and that's the language, if you listen to the language of, what people use when they're trying to do this, even Charlie Kirk's language was in this realm, where you dehumanize folks so that you can take away their rights, take away their humanness, and also enact some horrible things to them, pull them away from their families, et cetera. It's a different kind of violence, right? There is already, I think, violence that is happening within, our nation in various different capacities in different ways. Because it is federalized or legal, we don't call it violence, but it is violence, right? There is political violence in so many different realms, in so many different ways that is acceptable and that we've allowed to be acceptable for us. And that's why I said, I think it's important to name those things and to hold things accountable, and not pretend that it only just happened now, right? Or that it's only going to continue. Now it's going to get worse because of this one incident. I'm it's been able to get worse and worse and worse because of many of things that we've allowed and voted for or didn't vote for or, or didn't try to push or suggest, and, et cetera.
The people crying, you weren't crying on January 6th, so knock it off now. It's not like when they were hunting down people to try to kill. You defended all of those people, wanted them pardoned out of prison, applauded the president when he did that. So you don't get to turn around and cry when the same thing happens to you.
Yes. Can't disagree with that. We will keep an eye on that, and we have our national news wire feed, so just keep an eye on Madison 365 for updates as it goes along. Turning now to state news, in addition to David Crowley announcing for governor, JoCasta Zamarripa from Milwaukee announced that she's going to run for Secretary of State, which is an office that's going to be vacant because the current Secretary of State, Sarah Godlewski, is running for Lieutenant Governor. This Secretary of State in Wisconsin has virtually no power. I used to have to go to their office to Doug Fawlett's office to get proclamations signed.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That was about it. However, Alder Zamarripa, who served in the Assembly and is now on the Milwaukee City Council, basically said it doesn't have a lot of powers, but it does have a platform, and she'll use that platform to advocate for healthcare equity, and some other progressive issues. The other thing that people forget about Secretary of State is, first of all, most states, the Secretary of State oversees elections, which is actually really important. Not the case in Wisconsin. But the one interesting thing about that office is they are second in line to be governor.
Yeah, something.
If the governor and lieutenant governor are both incapacitated, or, interestingly, leave the state.
Yes. All the fun
Wisconsin briefly had a black woman governor in 1979. Did you guys know that?
I did not know that.
And then Wisconsin was like, never again.
Yeah,
I knew that because Rob has said that fact before in my household.
Vel Phillips was Secretary of State in 1979.
That's pretty fitting for anyone.
Yeah. And also, she should have been governor, for longer than a few minutes.
Right. Governor Lee Dreyfus, Lieutenant Governor Russell Wilson were both out of state for like an afternoon. I think one of them hurried back when they realized they'd left a black woman in charge. But she was literally acting governor for I can't find anybody that says specifically how long, but a brief period, like a day. So anyway, but that's why the office is important. Is if something catastrophic does happen, that person would become governor, but very unlikely. Omar, you have a couple of things to discuss with us. First of all, you
the sneezes are coming.
So Rob is trying to pause to see if he can get one in.
I do make a very visual face when I'm sneezing, so you can tell.
Yeah, and we'll be able to just pause, let you sneeze, then we can cut it out.
No, we're keeping all the sneezes for authenticity.
Unedited sneezes. The Wisconsin DNR, Department of Natural Resources, has apparently jumped into the homelessness fray.
Yes.
This is Rob jumping in to give you a little glimpse into the reporting process. Omar was told by some of those people involved in this next story we're going to talk about that it was Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Rangers who were trying to break up this homeless encampment. In fact, when he did some more reporting on it, he found out it was county rangers from the Land and Water Resources Department of Dane County, which makes more sense. As you'll hear, we had some question about where the state land is, where the state parks are, and how the Department of Natural Resources would even have jurisdiction. It makes much more sense that it was county rangers there. So keep that in mind as you listen to the next portion of the show.
They're busting up homeless camps, or at least they're threatening to. There's a bridge on East Washington that's part of Yahara Park, and there's about 3 to 6 homeless people there, depending on the night. And they keep the area clean. They don't bother anyone. They actually give out free water to joggers and bikers. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But the DNR has been coming there, the park rangers, and have been threatening them in different ways, telling them they need to leave, trying to tell them why they need to leave, tell them they're homesteading.
Homesteading?
What does that even mean?
I don't exactly.
Wait a minute, homesteading?
Homesteading, because there's a chair.
Are they suggesting that folks are aware that by bringing a chair, that they are homesteading, which then allows them some sort of right to that land or area? Are they they're suggesting that folks are aware that's what they're doing?
They didn't elaborate. Apparently, every time they come there, they essentially say the same thing, but with a different excuse. Before is that they were impeding the bike path there, which they most certainly are not. Technicalities about where the park actually is. For some reason, if you actually look at the maps, that specific bike path is not part of Yahara Park. It's next to it.
Are they trying to homestead so they can get called?
I don't.
DNR's trying to homestead so they can call dibs?
One of the people sleeping out there did point out the sign discrepancy for the boundaries of the park, where if you were on the other side of the river there, That's the park. If you're further down, that's the park. But there's just this one little stretch in the middle of that ridiculously long shaped park that is not Yahara Park.
Oh, okay.
And that is specifically where they are.
But they
I
can't.
don't-
But the NR park rangers, they give them like a deadline or something.
Kind of not.
Okay.
On Wednesday at about 12:30 p.m., they told them they needed to leave by 10 o'clock or there would be consequences and court actions. But they didn't really elaborate on what any of that actually meant. There's kind of an expectation that they're actually promising some type of action now, so they will be back at 10 p.m. So I was there, of course. I did get bit in the knuckle by a mosquito.
Oh,
which
you
it's
should fight it.
Still driving me crazy. I'm just rubbing it all the time, and I know that's not good for it. But
You can't help it.
it's driving me crazy. They did not. I did go the following morning to see if they're all right. Anything happened? No. The expectation is probably 12:30 Thursday, which is later than when we record this podcast. So it might be some updates then, but they're not bothering anyone. They're sleeping. They don't like going into the homeless shelters, which are renownedly pretty bad in Madison. Limited placement, people getting their stuff stolen, people getting sick and injured a lot there. So they kind of don't really want to unless they absolutely have to when it's like freezing cold. But they aren't bothering anyone.
I mean, I heard there was sewage coming up out of the drains in the shelter there near East Town Mall.
Oh.
Like a friend of mine who was there personally witnessed this and said that he would rather just be in Dane County Jail than be in the homeless shelter that they provide for the men in the city. So, you know,
I mean, you hear it all the time about the homeless shelters in Madison. They don't want to be in them.
No.
Yeah. Well, as Omar said, we'll update that as it develops, and Omar's going to kind of be touching base out there with folks. And there was some like community folks went out to
Yeah, it was like
support them, right?
20 people because they didn't know if the park rangers would come or
Right.
the police would come and bust up the little, I'm not going to call it an encampment because it's not really an encampment, but where they're sleeping. Yeah, just community members came out there to support them, to document it just in case the police did come out there and ensue some violence upon the homeless.
Right.
They didn't, but everyone had a good time. Lots of laughter, cheering, talking, building community.
Right.
Met a nice guy named Jerome. He's one of the people that sleeps out there, 67 years old. Hilarious. He's so funny. Maybe we'll get lunch sometime.
All right. Well, we'll stay on top of that and see what the DNR tries to do. Other thing I wanted to ask you about, Omar, is our new office neighbors downstairs in the atrium of the hub here, the Urban Lake hub here on the south side, is Rasta Barista, which is a fantastic little coffee shop, and they're having a cook-off.
They are having a cook-off, and they're having a cook-off of two of the best foods out there. I'm so excited for this. It's going to be the first ever in Madison, a jerk and jollof cook-off competition.
I'm
hungry just to
excited.
say
I'm
that.
like hungry
That's
now.
amazing. Are you excited, Nick?
I was asked to like be in it as I was buying coffee yesterday, and I'm like, no, I don't.
You don't have any jerk or jollof recipes?
I don't have any recipes. I have a French toast recipe, but
There is a dessert category.
Oh.
But I think you're supposed to do the whole spectrum of things.
Oh, sure.
So Rasa Barista is hosting a cook-off to figure out who has the best jerk and who has the best jollof rice. There's a lot of slight differences throughout the Caribbean and Africa for how they prepare their dishes, and it's a point of pride and a little bit of sharp jokes at each other that our version is better. So that it's going to finally be put to rest in Madison of all places.
Right.
Who has the best jollof rice and jerk chicken? That will be...
We'll see.
That will be great. It will be delicious. Buy your tickets. If you are interested in entering the competition, you can go to Rasta Barista's website, and they will actually make their commercial kitchen space available to you too.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. So
My goodness, there's no excuse not to do it unless you don't have a recipe.
I don't have a recipe,
I don't
but
either.
I do enjoy both of those dishes. So I, of course, will be there, and you should too. The tickets are $30, which all those proceeds will go to... I should have pulled up the story before. We'll go to Youth Empowerment Initiatives, Inc., a local nonprofit that provides post-secondary academic opportunities for at-risk youth, employment opportunities in agriculture, and teaching the youth to grow what they eat and eat what they grow. So get good food, figure out who has the best, and support the youth. It's kind of the perfect event.
It is.
Also worth noting that Say and Melissa Kido, who own the place, Say is Liberian, Melissa is Jamaican, right? And both come from coffee growing families, apparently, and they get all their coffee from Jamaica. They import it and roast it themselves. It's all Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee, which is, if you're a coffee snob, one of the best.
It is delicious. I have my coffee again from them this morning, and it's fantastic.
So that the competition is September 27th, right here up on the 4th floor, the kitchen up here at the hub, and that story is at madison365.org. Let's talk a little bit of sports ball.
Who are we talking about?
Soccer or all the other sports?
Soccer's doing all right. The women's soccer team is good.
Yeah, the women's soccer, the University of Wisconsin women's soccer team is very good. And they have a player who's on the watch list for the soccer version of the Heisman. But the football team,
won't have anyone on the list for the football version of the Heisman.
But they do have a big game this weekend.
I mean, it is a game.
It is something.
And it will be big for someone. Now, Wisconsin goes to Tuscaloosa for the first time ever to face Alabama, who is struggling, no doubt. They are not the same team since Nick Saban retired. Nick Saban is unhappy with what he's seeing. But, I mean, Wisconsin, the Boo Birds were out in full force their first two games at Camp Randall. They finally got it together in the second half of last week's game and started scoring at least. You know, that was against Middle Tennessee, which is not Alabama.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything for Wisconsin right now is just pass first, pass second, and pass third. And then if they have a lead, they'll start running the ball. But Coach Luke Fickell trying to reinvent the wheel at Wisconsin, but it only works if everyone else does it. So if you show up with this strategy of like, we're just going to throw and throw and throw and have these little bitty, playmaker types that are 165 pounds and Ohio State shows up with guys that are 6'6" and 370, like
it's going to land different.
If our job is to push each other backwards, size matters. I mean, just to be honest, So Alabama, they've got big boys up front on both lines. And I think they're going to push Wisconsin around. And I never thought I would say that. When they scheduled this game, it was like 5 years ago or 6 years ago when we had like this monster offensive line. And I was like, wait until they see our big farm bred, big boys pushing them around. But now we don't have a coach that like
uses that.
Right.
It values that, yeah.
Or values that. It's a good way of saying it.
Yeah. The other big sporting event this weekend is soccer, is the second leg of the Henny Derby, which is Forward Madison versus Richmond Kickers. The winner maintains the trophy, which is an empty bottle of Hennessy. It was originally a full bottle of Hennessy 7 years ago, but it has been drunk at some point.
They're so strapped for cash they can't buy another one. Yeah. It's a little expensive.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit pricey.
Yeah.
But it's been quite audaciously decorated as a trophy. But this is probably the best sort of fan-driven rivalry, especially driven by black fans specifically. It was Kyle Carr here in Madison, Elliot Barr in Richmond, who were just on Twitter and made a bet, like, winner gets a bottle of Hennessy. Richmond won that game way back in 2019, and Kyle had a very hard time figuring out how you ship liquor, which is apparently
It's actually very, very hard.
complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And questionably legal.
Right.
I know more about that.
Right.
But that's a
And
different
Elliot
story.
is actually, Elliot's actually coming up from Richmond for this game in Madison and is not bringing the trophy because it's just like hard to get through TSA even, which is that Richmond has the trophy right now. We beat them earlier this year. If we beat them again, tomorrow we get the trophy because there's a third game at the end of the season between these two clubs. Now this game, the Henny Derby, is the only reason this game is important, really, because our teams are in 12th and 13th place in a league of 14 teams. If this was a proper league, we would be fighting to not be relegated out of the league. That's how bad we are. But we don't have that to deal with, but we do have Henny. So it is the Henny Derby this weekend. And the stadium's almost sold out already. As of Tuesday, the stadium was almost sold out. So it's going to be like a big, loud, raucous environment.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun. And it's going to be on ESPN Plus if you're not able to come to the
game itself.
You're not able to get a ticket to the sold out stadium. It'll be on ESPN Plus, which you can get with your Disney Plus and Hulu bundle.
Oh my God! Look at you,
If you
sell
Yeah,
for
you don't
Disney.
have-
Do you get a percentage? I know. Do you get a percentage of the ad
ESPN now. You
Do
can
we get Disney money?
You can get you can get ESPN as its own thing now for like $30 a month, which is, I don't know why anybody would do that.
Again, thoughts from Rob.
You can't critique our advertisers.
Rob, whose side are you on?
ESPN is not an advertiser.
No, they're not. They don't want to hang
But
out.
the ESPN Plus bundle is actually not bad. So anyway, that's soccer for this weekend. Very exciting. Very excited. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, David Crowley will tell us his favorite Wisconsin celebrity.
Still have my money on Tony Shalhoub.
All right. I'll make that plug for you.
We'll find out.
And we're back, and joining us now, the county executive of Milwaukee County and the latest entrant into the race to be Wisconsin's next governor, Mr. David Crowley. How you doing, sir?
Hey, every day is a good day. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for giving us the time. I know the first week of a statewide campaign can be a pretty busy time.
Oh, that is definitely for sure. But I've been encouraged and inspired by all the support, not only here in Milwaukee County, but in Madison, southeastern Wisconsin, even been traveling across the state, talking to supporters all around. So it's been a great start, and looking forward to the next year.
Let's first of all, a lot of our listeners will know who you are and kind of your story, but for those who don't, just remind us, what's your story? You're from Milwaukee, right?
Born and raised in the city of Milwaukee. Went to public schools my entire life. Married. I'm a husband, a father of 3 young girls. And what happened, growing up in the city of Milwaukee was not necessarily the easiest or cakewalk. Both of my parents suffered from either drug addiction or mental health. And when I was a junior in high school, that's when I got my life saved by a youth organization. Prior to me finding Urban Underground, I had been evicted 3 times, was going through a lot of housing instability, and I was actually watching my mother struggle a lot. And that youth organization introduced me to community organizing, taught me how to love myself, love my community, which eventually introduced me to politics. Got my first political start in 2010, working for Russ Feingold. And then I got involved in working in government itself, working for an elected official at the county board, Nakia Dodd, and she became a state senator. So I worked for her for 4 years as her policy director in the state senate, and then I got bit by that bug to run myself. And so in fall of 2016, I was elected to represent the 17th Assembly District here in the city of Milwaukee. And then in 2020, I was sworn in as the youngest and the first African American elected to Milwaukee County Executive.
You say youngest. Can I just ask? I'm curious as to the sort of time period you grew up. That's why I'm asking. But what is your age right now?
So I'm 39. When I first became the county executive, I was 33.
What have you what have you learned in that political career that you want to bring to the statewide office?
Well, I appreciate that question. Serving in the legislature as a staffer as well as an elected official, I've had a few laps around the track, right? Being able to understand, how legislation is made. And so, for 7 years, I spent time in the state capitol. So I know exactly how Madison works. And quite honestly, I've gotten a lot of things done. And for the past 5 years, I've been leading the largest county in the state of Wisconsin. I represent about 1 million people, which is a sixth of our entire state's population. But I also manage one of the largest budgets in the state with a $1.4 billion budget. And so I've led our community through the pandemic since May of 2020. But we've also tackled some of the toughest issues, facing our county. Public safety, public health, fiscal recovery. We found ways to invest in small businesses and entrepreneurs throughout Milwaukee County. We've built more affordable housing in suburban communities as well as the city of Milwaukee. We've cut our carbon emissions by half, all while also delivering, the largest property tax cut in Milwaukee County's history. And so I know that not only with my legislative experience, but also my experience actually running a government, that I know that I'll be able to hit the ground running on day one when I become governor.
And you have you as the county executive, you do have to work with the county board, which is somewhat analogous to working with the legislature as governor.
Yes.
Now, there's some sense that the legislature is not as heavily Republican as it was because of the redistricting, and maybe even less so. It might even flip in 2026. But if it's not, how do you, especially in this polarized environment we're in right now, how do you anticipate working with a legislature that's maybe on the other side of the aisle and maybe way on the other side of the aisle in some cases?
I think that what people care about is people delivering results on behalf of Wisconsin families, no matter what corner of the state you live in and everywhere in between. All across this state, people are tired of politicians who are, talking big and delivering small, who continue to focus on dividing and distracting, from the real work, because people care about these results. And, folks, whether you agree with them or not, you still have to deliver a product. And we need our government to do exactly that. I've been the county executive under both Trump's administrations, under Biden's administration, and while the Republicans have had total control of our state legislature. But that has not stopped me from going and working with our entire Wisconsin congressional delegation, working with whatever administration is in the White House to bring back more dollars. We've brought millions of dollars from the federal government as well as the state government. But I've also, worked with this Republican state-controlled legislature as well to make sure that not just Milwaukee County, but all communities across this state got its fair share back from Madison so they can invest in the things that matter most to them. And I'm going to continue to do that as governor. We don't have time to focus on the bickering in the political discourse. We need to provide results for those that we represent.
You mentioned you represent in Milwaukee County basically 1/6 of the population of the state. The other 5/6 of the population may have a very different experience than the urban one in Milwaukee. You got a lot of the state is just rural and just has a different, environment. How do you go about connecting with folks outside of Milwaukee?
Well, one, I think it's important that we go across this state and we listen. People want someone who's going to represent them, who not only understands the struggle, but who's going to listen to them. And I think we have to acknowledge that there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution that is going to directly improve all of the issues that we're facing in many different communities. You know, what works in Milwaukee will not work in Eau Claire, may not work in Madison, may not work in Green Bay. And so I want to make sure that we're listening to the people on the ground, but make sure that those folks on the ground who are at the table have an opportunity to be a part of the solutions as well. We don't need cookie cutter solutions for the problems we face, and so we need to tailor all of these solutions to each particular area and each particular community. But you know, I'm going to continue to show up like I've been showing up, and I've been showing up for them even as Milwaukee County executive when we were able to pass Act 12, which increased shared revenue for all communities of every size. And I'm going to continue to show every rural community that it doesn't matter where you live. The issues that I have focused on in Milwaukee County, like affordable housing, like tackling the opioid epidemic, cutting taxes, cutting our carbon emissions in half. You know, these aren't just Milwaukee issues. These aren't just Democratic issues. These are Wisconsin issues. And so we're going to cut through the distractions. We're going to focus on the kitchen table issues that communities are talking about every single day.
What are you mentioned affordable housing, opioid addiction, taxes. Is there something that is like top priority day one for you? Do you think when an issue like that?
You know, the biggest issue that I know is facing many Wisconsin families all across this state is the issue of affordability. There's an affordability crisis happening right now. And, everyone is getting less, even if you're making more money. We need to figure out how we can provide some relief. Now, there's only so much that we can do under the economic chaos and things that we're seeing happening coming from Washington, D.C., but it doesn't mean that we cannot work to make things better for Wisconsinites all around, which means that we need to invest in good paying, family-sustaining jobs, union jobs, right? So people have opportunities to lift themselves up. We have to fully fund our public school systems all across this entire state to make sure that our young people are ready for those opportunities that are here today, but also the opportunities that are coming in the future, making sure that they're ready for post-secondary education if they choose to seek that. But also, how do people get access to affordable and accessible healthcare that they can, get whenever and wherever people may need it? And so I'm going to, again, spend a lot of my time, talking to as many voters as possible, making sure to lift up their issues.
You mentioned when you assumed office in Milwaukee County, you were the youngest and the first African American. You would definitely be the first African American governor. I think you would be the youngest. I'm not 100% certain of that.
Would not be the youngest. There was somebody like 33, really? 35, but this is
okay.
I mean,
I didn't know.
Before I was a twinkle in anybody's eye.
In any case, you have a chance to potentially become the first African American governor of Wisconsin. Is that part of your campaign message? Is that part of your pitch? Is that what does that mean, if it means anything at all?
Well, I don't. The historic nature of this election is not lost on me, right? And I think that everybody sees that. There's two things that I can't control. I'm from Milwaukee and I'm an African American, but that's not going to stop me from being the governor for all of us. And so, while it is historic in nature, it's more important for me to talk to folks about the opportunities that we're going to create for all communities across this state, no matter where you live, urban, suburban, or rural.
Here in Madison, maybe one of the biggest employers, and of course it's a major piece of the economy here, is the University of Wisconsin. The Republican legislature does not get along with the University of Wisconsin, particularly as relates to DEI, diversity, equity, belonging, any of those sorts of programs. As governor, how would you think about, or how would you see the universities of Wisconsin, the whole system, in terms of its place in the state budget, its place in the overall life of the state? What are your thoughts?
Well, here in Milwaukee County, we have a mission that, we can become the healthiest county in the state of Wisconsin by achieving equity in all measurable areas. And so when we talk about equity, it's about how do we bring everybody to the table? One of my favorite things is that when the tide rises, all the boats rise. And that's really the focus, making sure that we don't leave any communities behind. And so as Democrats, we really need to to focus on what does the future really look like? What is next for us as a state? We can't go back and talk about what was. We can't continue to defend the status quo. We have to figure out how we're going to move forward. There have been a lot of distrust that has been sowing into our government from leaders who should be focusing on how to help our communities move forward. But unfortunately, we're not getting that. And so I truly believe that when it comes down to our higher education institutions, and quite frankly, all of our public institutions, that we figure out how to make sure that nobody is left behind and nobody falls through the cracks.
David Crowley, thank you again so much for your time. I have one last question before we let you go, because I promised my co-hosts I would ask it. Who is your favorite Wisconsin-born celebrity?
My favorite Wisconsin-born celebrity. That is a very difficult question. I don't even know too many celebrities that's necessarily from Wisconsin, to be honest with you. So I don't even know if I can even answer that one.
The correct answer is Tony Shalhoub.
Well, the other person that kind of comes to mind, and I'm blanking on his name, but he is the director or producer of Cooley High, The Last Dragon. He's a solid guy who's been making great movies for a very long time, but I can't remember his name to save my life. Michael Schultz.
Michael Schultz. That's an excellent choice. I honestly didn't even know he was from Wisconsin. That's amazing. Again, David Crowley, thank you so much again for your time, and best of luck on the campaign trail.
Thank you for having me, Rob. I appreciate it.
And we're back, and before we jump into our question, I just want to follow up on one thing that David Crowley said. A couple of things. First of all, his selection of Michael Schultz as his favorite Wisconsin-born celebrity. The timing of that was fortuitous, because Milwaukee Film is actually hosting a tribute to Michael Schultz this weekend. If you didn't know, Michael Schultz was a really well-known director in the 70s. Car Wash with Richard Pryor, Carbon Copy. Which, by the way, if you look at the credits of Carbon Copy, it says, and introducing Denzel Washington. So there's that. And, of course, Last Dragon, which David Crowley mentioned. But this weekend, Milwaukee Film is hosting at the Oriental Theater in Milwaukee tonight, Friday night, a screening of The Last Dragon. They're screening Car Wash with Michael Schultz and a Q&A with Michael Schultz afterward, Saturday at 3. And then they're screening Cooley High with an awards presentation and extended Q&A preceding the film at 7:30 on Saturday evening. So just good timing that he happened to name Michael Schultz as his favorite Wisconsin celebrity. Also, to follow up, fact check, he is right. He would not be the youngest governor of the state of Wisconsin by a long way. There's several Wisconsin governors who served in their early to mid 30s. The youngest was actually the son of fighting Bob La Follette, Philip La Follette, served in the 1930s when he was 33 years old. And our very first governor, Nelson Dewey, was only 34. And Martin Schreiber was another one in more recent memory who was lieutenant governor and then became governor when he was 36. So anyway, just wanted to follow up on those. And now to Stephanie for the question.
And we're back. And before we go to our question, Rob would like an opportunity to...
on a mulligan for my last week's question.
He wants to go back and maybe change his answer or add to his answer.
Add to my answer. This is something I thought of later in the day when I heard it.
And then you held on to it for like a week?
Yes.
Okay.
That's how important this is. I heard an advertisement.
Well, first of all, you got to remind people of the question.
The question was, what's one thing that just really annoys you?
Yeah.
It's just a real annoyance. There were several traffic-related annoyances among the group. I talked about wrinkles in my socks, which is a problem. The most annoying thing to me is in an advertisement or any sort of announcement when somebody is reading a website address and says /.
What?
That is not a back
What are you talking about?
in a website address. Madison365.com/
Whatever.
amplified is the address that I would give for this podcast.
Yeah. But it's not a backslash.
Imagine a straight up and down line.
Oh, God.
Now imagine it leaning backward. That's a backslash. Now imagine it leaning forward. That's just a slash.
So leaning to the left
yes,
is
backslash. And backslash.
Leaning to the right is just a slash.
Either forward slash or just slash.
That feels political.
Yeah. It actually kind of does. In England,
Rob,
they call it stroke. But backslash, nobody's used backslashes since MS-DOS in the 80s.
Look, Clippy, the little paperclip that used to assist you, don't shade that poor icon.
That was, yeah.
That's around then.
But yeah, I guess when you were early Windows days, you still did use backslashes for directory structure in your disk operating system.
Don't go after Clippy.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember when backslashes actually meant something. They don't anymore, especially in website addresses. It is a forward slash. All right, now on to this.
Wait. No. I would say.
Oh my God!
An annoying trait is revising your question and holding on to the answer for a week.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
We have so much going on in our lives.
Yep.
Let Rob have this.
All of our listeners are going to be listening for that, and they're going to hear backslash and get irritated just like I do.
I know.
What's this week's question?
Or recognize how much that comes up. Right? That's what's going to happen. If they don't get upset, I'm like, oh, I guess I get why he's annoyed so much.
Eventually, they're going to intake all of our language critiques. Me with the word anyways, Rob with backslash,
and me with the word momentarily. Yep.
There's a lot of words that Rob
We're going to change the world.
We're going to change the world.
We're going to fix things language.
That's how we heal the world. Fixing up your language and your syntax.
Yep. All right, what's this week's question?
Okay, this week's question is, I feel like Rob's going to go off about it somehow, or I don't know where. What is a childhood belief that you held on for too long?
Like something that we believed to be true that was incorrect?
Yep. And maybe you heard it was incorrect and you're like, nah, it's still true. Because I got a few. But one that I will recognize, like, I held this too long. It's not true. But also, of course it does. That the moon and sun follow me. And you know what? Sometimes I'm like, nah, it still does. I am still the center. But I'm too old to believe that, though. But also, I still hold on to it.
The heliocentric model. Right?
That feels on brand.
I mean, the moon does follow you. Just not the sun.
It all follows me.
I don't have any.
You let go of things at a good time? Oh, you still believe them. There's a difference.
I believe everything because I'm always right.
That's something that you should have outgrown.
But also,
that is so childhood belief that you should have outgrown. It's very similar.
Well, apparently that's the answer. My parents made me read books instead of
watch TV. Yeah.
So
I thought my parents made me read books because, like, they wanted us to learn more. We just didn't have TV. We're like, we were poor.
No, we had a TV.
We did not. We just thought.
my grandfather, black man from Kansas, didn't know how to read, and when he did finally learn how to read, he was like, "Oh, this is very important." So he offered his children that if they read all the great American classics and read the news every single day and explain it to him and the context of what these current events mean, that they can skip school. So naturally,
because you don't even know school if you got it.
my mom and my uncle both ended up dropping out of high school. Mm-hmm. My mom realizes that was a horrible deal, but it was good lessons. So she made all of her kids do the same thing. So I read books. TV would have been more fun. Mm-hmm. Thinking I'm right all the time.
Yeah. Rob? We'll go. Nick?
I mean, I can't really think of anything that I believed deep into childhood. Now, I was like a child, like, for a very long time. Like, I was still playing outside and stuff when I was like 15, so I'm not going to even lie, you know.
But I think that's good. I think at 15 you still are a bit of a child growing into that. So I think playing outside is valid and good for you and wholesome. But I don't. Rob is thinking really hard, and he's mad that he's stumped.
His answer is the same as mine.
Kind of. I've talked before about, I believe for a very long time that if a pitcher catches a ball that's been hit in play, it doesn't count as an out. And I'm not sure where I got that. I think I saw something. I thought I saw that on TV one time, and my dad being overly confident, but oh yeah, it doesn't count if the pitcher catches it.
What?
Yeah, and I kind of believe that for a long time. I still kind of believe it. I still kind of, when I see a pitcher catch a line drive, you gotta throw it to first. Oh wait, no, you don't. Never mind. I believed for a long time that I was good at fishing.
You still fish?
Yeah, and still don't catch anything.
I believe there were certain rules in Uno that were true for everybody that wasn't true. I didn't realize how regional that was. Same with spades. Like, I didn't realize how regional that could be. Mm-hmm. Or cultural that could be.
Except for all my rules
Dominoes,
are right.
too.
Yeah. I think Monopoly is the same way. I think many of us have beliefs about Monopoly rules that probably aren't true.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's probably true.
Yeah. And are not willing to, like, bend from them. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. See, we have all things. You all just look at a question that stumped you all.
Yeah.
That's why we don't play board games in the Heat family. So we all disagree.
We all disagree all the time. All right, friends. So we will be back next week.
365 Amplified is produced and edited by me, Rob Chappell, and is a production of 365 Media Foundation, a nonprofit, local, independent media organization in Madison, Wisconsin. Wherever you're listening to this right now, hit the subscribe or follow button to get new episodes every Friday. And between episodes, get your latest news at madison365.org and follow us on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Threads. Wherever you get your news, we'll be there.
Support American-made tariff-free clothing with American Giant with American Giant. They aren't affected by tariffs because their clothing products never left the U.S. Get 20% off your first order when you use promo code STAPLE20 at american-giant.com.